Hello everyone. Welcome back to episode 40, Talk of Fame podcast. I'm Kylie. Today we have on the amazing host, public speaker, and coach, Hannah Fletcher. Thanks so much for coming on, Hannah. I'm so happy to have you on.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here and speaking with you, Kylie. So thank you.
Of course, I'm so happy to have you on. So for the last 2 years, we've been in isolation. So what is something I did over the last 2 years that you kind of want to have time to do before?
Honestly, I had the opportunity to birth my podcast. That was something that came during being in quarantine for the past couple years. And, business aside, I was able to just really take some time and kind of, recenter and focus on myself and see exactly where I'm at in life and what it is I want to accomplish. I consider myself to be young, definitely not old, but definitely not like young. So it's nice to be able to check in with myself and see where I'm at and what I like to do and where I want to go. And that's exactly what I did.
Yes, that's amazing. Like that's kind of what I've been doing. It's like taking like quarantine has been basically hard for everyone, basically for mental health, basically like many other things for everyone. This quarantine hit hard for everyone since we couldn't go anywhere. We're always home, like we can't do anything. And it's always like kind of have time to think. And if it wasn't for quarantine, I wouldn't have done this podcast, like you said. And so what kind of made you want to kind of start your podcast?
That is such a good question. If you take it back, honestly, when I was super young, when I was about 10 years old, 11 years old, my best friend in life was my cat, Milo, and I loved him so much. And I really, really had a strong connection with my cat. I always had friends growing up, but I kept to myself. I'm an only child. And so I started a little talk show with my cat that nobody can find. It's like private archives. It's like family home videos type of thing. But it made me very proud to be able to start that with him when I was such a young age. I've always been inclined towards speaking. And then as I got older in high school, I decided that I wanted to, kind of be like a radio DJ. I kind of thought that was interesting. So I explored that avenue for a little while. My parents would tune in and listen to me be a radio DJ. That was it. That was pretty much my audience at the time. And then, it's been a few years of just solely acting. I went to college and I received my degree, my BFA in acting. And then, like I mentioned earlier, during quarantine, I kind of figured out, I was like, I think hosting and just public speaking to this degree has always been in my blood in some way, shape, or form. So let's just pick it up. We're a little bit older. We have a little bit of a budget. Let's see what we can do. And so, yeah, it really birthed from initially a talk show with my cat. And I am very proud to own that. 100%.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like as I kind of grew up, I was always a very shy, independent girl. I was always kind of by my parents' side, never left my parents' side. And I always knew that I wanted to be in an industry that I just didn't know what to be. I tried many things like acting, dancing, but it's just something I kind of never really wanted to kind of pursue as like a career, I would say. And so like I often for a couple of years as I grew up, people always asked me, like every time I'm at a family gathering or something, someone will bring up that I would be a good journalist, like a podcast host and stuff like that. Because like I knew everything about sports and everything about the entertainment industry. Because I watched a lot of movies and shows and watched award shows. Like that was my whole life. Like the only thing I did was that. And so I basically knew everything was going on, knew everything as like celebrity status, like I knew everything going on. And so they'd be like, Kylie, like I know you're probably getting annoyed by this kind of because we say it a lot, but like you would be a good journalist since you know everything about everything. So I'm like, all right, thank you. Like I never took it seriously. And I just kind of took it aside, focused on other things and never took it seriously, never came to mind. And then quarantine hit. Well, of course, when quarantine hit, like it came across my mind. So thankfully for quarantine, like you said, like a lot of things have changed your mind and stuff.
Right. And look at where you are. You're here. You're on episode 40. That's huge. That is so commendable. I'm personally very proud of you. I'm glad that you took the time and made it something extremely productive and you're honoring a part of yourself. And I think that you're on the right path and you definitely should keep going.
Thank you, girl. It means so much. But as I kind of mentioned before, and it's kind of something that you kind of mentioned a little bit ago, but you are a host, kind of public speaker and coach. What kind of made you kind of want to start that kind of like you said before?
That's another good question. I've thought about this multiple times. I've always been told in life, I too grew up, I did 15 years plus of dance, acting, and everything's always kind of come back to speaking. One of the things that I was always complimented on, thank God, when I was very young was, and even just throughout life was, oh, she can really speak very well. And my parents were so proud to hear that. I was very proud too, but it never really registered with me exactly what that meant. I was like, everybody speaks now. And apparently, I just kind of processed it in a different way. And now that I'm older, I understand what a beautiful compliment that really is. And so it's something that I'm very passionate about. I took a voice and speech class in my college career, and I really got a lot of training on how to speak with intention and how to have like a nice rich tone and everything like that. So going back to your question, I would have to say that I really decided that I wanted to kind of combine everything, because though it's all very much like a wing of each other, it's all centered around speaking, there's still a different skill set that's involved with each. So with coaching, you have to be able to speak to who it is you're coaching. Whereas with public speaking, you have to be able to captivate and engage an audience for X amount of minutes or whatever the case is. And then with hosting, that's my kryptonite for sure. And yeah, I just really always enjoyed hosting, and it's really great to be able to have the opportunity to host like red carpets and everything. And yeah, I love speaking. I like talking, if you can't tell. I am my mother's daughter, and we like to talk. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that answers my question. That's how my family is. I got my dad's father's side, they're all speakers. So I get my kind of speaking tone from my dad's family, of course. And actually, that reminds me, my grandma recently told me that I had my aunt's genes, like the blab, like the Paulski blab. That reminds me of the talk in the family. But that I was kind of took it seriously. I'm like, I don't want to have. Asking myself, I don't want to have that. I think, how's a shy kid supposed to have that? But yeah, the hosting and interviewing has always kind of been my passion. Like everything, I can do this every day. That's how much I really enjoy it. It's amazing how much kind of I enjoy it. I never expected myself to kind of love something like this much. I always thought oh, this is something like a hobby, this is something I shouldn't take seriously, this is something fun for me to do during quarantine. It is something kind of fun to do. And I'm now almost kind of a year later, I'm okay, well, 40 episodes later, I'm still doing this. Well, I guess I just like it that much if I'm still doing it 40 episodes later.
For sure. Well, and then I don't know about you, but I find myself, and I've had this remarked to me multiple times by friends or family members. When we're having a conversation, I will ask so many questions, and they're like, why are you interrogating me? And I'm like, I'm just trying to get the details here. Do you find yourself being in the same boat?
Yeah, I'm the same exact way. I like to ask questions about something that my parents would get annoyed or someone would get annoyed with
me. Yeah.
I'm the same exact way.
But, for a living, so now nobody can get mad, right? It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. So as you kind of mentioned before, you host red carpets and stuff, but is it kind of for you to do that and interview people and stuff like that?
It is surreal. I'll be honest, when I moved to Los Angeles, my vision was solely focused on acting, and hosting has just kind of come about within the past, since quarantine, really. I released my first episode of my podcast in August, at the end of August in 2020. So that really opened my eyes to hosting in general more. And then having the opportunity to be able to host red carpets, oh my goodness, it's wonderful. I feel so blessed to be able to host red carpets. And it's so amazing to be able to just talk to these people, to see that they're really just people. I've had the opportunity to speak with some really great celebrities, and I have a great interview coming up on Thursday. I was texting my parents in a group chat in all caps. I was like, you won't believe this. And they're like, what? And then they're sending little pictures and everything and emojis. They're so excited. They're super supportive. I'm so blessed to say that. And hosting red carpets is wonderful. And it's an experience that I never thought that I was going to necessarily participate in. If anything, I thought I'd be on the other side instead of on the side that I'm on. And I love being on my side. And I think that it's just a really great, fun opportunity to be able to see people for who they truly are and to be able to really offer them the space to be able to talk about an amazing piece of work that more than likely they're there promoting or supporting. So.
Yeah, for sure. Like a lot of people think about like celebrities. People think like, oh, their fame, they're different from like people like us, I'll say. They have a lot of fame and people, and like for me, for instance, like I always think they're people. Like, they're human, they have feelings. Like people always think like, oh, they're celebrities, they don't have feelings. And I'm like, think to myself, like, they're human too. Like, even though they have like a little bit of fame on their name, they still have like they're still human. But do you have anyone that you interviewed that kind of stuck out to you the most?
I would have to say yes. One of the first red carpet that I actually had the opportunity to interview at. I'd attended a few previously, but I was more or less training and trying to understand how to more or less work a red carpet because it's a lot more complicated than anybody would think.
Yeah.
But I had two celebrities. They're actually a duo. They are boyfriend and girlfriend. And I grew up listening to the boyfriend's music and I grew up watching the girlfriend in her shows. And I'm similar to her age. He's a little bit older than we are. But when I got to interview them on the red carpet, it was for the premiere of I Know What You Did Last Summer, which was a reboot that's now on Amazon. And it was with Madison Eisman and Spencer Sutherland. That was the first time that I was really starstruck because I remember distinctly like before I moved to LA, I was saving up, doing some work, and I was like listening to Spencer Sutherland, his whole album, and like I was watching his girlfriend in Annabelle. So it was so surreal to be able to actually have the moment to meet both of them, but lovely people. I think that was probably the first time that I really was truly starstruck, and that's a time that's always going to stick with me for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I met kind of so many celebrities throughout my life, even if it's for like the podcast or in general, like I go to events, sporting events, whatever it is. Like I've never been more starstruck meeting Jolie McIntyre. Do you know who he is?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I do.
And so I met Jolie McIntyre at a Red Sox game last year at Fenway. And I've been a huge fan of him for a long time. He was on a couple episodes of Full House, and I love New Kids on the Block. So I was like, once I was on my phone the game a little bit to check my phone, and my dad's like, Kylie, look on the screen. I'm like, it's Jolie McIntyre. I'm like, my mouth is fully dropped. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go up. He was on like the Green Monsters. I immediately ran up. And I was like shaking so bad that I just wanted to puke. And so like I was so starstruck that I was like, I can't handle my emotions. I was so starstruck. And so yeah, I was laying down, like I was like, I couldn't wait any longer. So I was like standing there and be like, okay, I need someone to come up and help me control my emotions if I can't control them. And so like when he got up, he was leaving with his family. And I was shaking. I was like, I didn't know what to do. Like I was like, now ready for this. And I was like, and when he walked close to me, I was like, Mr. McIntyre, can I get a picture with you? And try to ask kind of kindly with him. I was kind of like shy a little bit because I was like, this is Jolie McIntyre. This is someone I loved for a while. I'm like, I can't believe I'm talking to Jolie McIntyre. He's like, yeah, sure, whatever you want. And he took my phone and took a picture. I'm like, he's even cuter in person though.
Oh my goodness. So he literally took your phone and actually like held it up to take the selfie and everything. Did you that's the best. That is the best. Cause it's one thing to be like, can I have a picture? And then you have to stick your arm out, but it's amazing that he was like, come here.
Yeah, and I was so happy he took my phone because I was shaking that bad that I'm like, okay, I think God he held my phone for me, took a picture because my arm would be shaking so bad and he'd probably be like, what the heck is wrong with this kid right now? Then I ran down back to my seats and I was like, Dad, I was Jolie McIntyre. Couldn't control myself. I didn't even want to go to sleep that night. I was just that starstruck. I was like, this is the best day ever. I couldn't ask for a better day than meeting Jolie McIntyre. I was just that starstruck. I didn't even know what to say to him. I was like, hi.
You completely lose sight of what it is that you were going to say. If you ever envisioned the moment before, it's out the window. And that's where you just have to be present in the moment. And it's like you could fangirl in the moment, but then you really fangirl after. And I understand the adrenaline situation. Every time I come home from a red carpet, I can't sleep. It's not happening. I'm like, who did I just talk to? Like, what did I just say? This is so interesting. So I'm so glad that you had such a positive experience like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's like I was like trying to keep my cool. I was like, don't fail, girl, because you'll think like you might kind of freak out. So I was like, kind of keep it to yourself a little bit, kind of control yourself. Then fangirl after you meet them. That's what I did. I was like kind of hiding my emotions a little, but kind of keep it to myself. Then after he left, I was like, no way, that's Joey McIntyre. I didn't even want to clean. I didn't even want to hold my phone case after that. I was like, a legend is holding my phone. I was like, this is no way.
Never get rid of that phone case ever. Yeah. If you change it out, still keep it.
Yeah, and like he was like a big like the New Kids on the Block is such a big band back in like the 80s, 90s. So I'm like, this is not like he was basically part of like our parents' generations more than kind of ours. And I was like, this, and probably people think like, oh, well, how does she know who Joey McIntyre is? I'm like, tell me, like I watch everything about the entertainment industry. That's how I know who he is. Like that's how much entertainment I watch.
Oh my gosh! Oh, I'm so happy for you. That's awesome.
Thank you. And so, you, do you have anyone that you look up to as a host, or just in general?
In general, in terms of the hosting world, I would have to say one of the people I look up to two people. Really, I look up to Hoda from the Today Show. I love her. And I really, really look up to Ryan Seacrest. I would have to say, because what I love about the hosting world is they're so busy working. There's never anything on the internet about them. They're very committed to their job. They're constantly working and striving. And, you know, I love the work ethic in general, and I grew up watching Ryan Seacrest. Let's be real, I did. I was an American Idol fan for years. My mom and my dad, we would watch it and we just loved it. So yeah, and I love that Ryan especially, like he does so many different things. Like he has his own radio show. You know, I know he did hosting for American Idol. I love seeing him on New Year's Rocket Eve. You know, I feel like he's just used for so many different projects, and he's just a good person. From everything that I've ever heard, I've been endlessly impressed with him. So I'd have to say him.
Yeah, for sure. I can't, like, he's someone that I watched every single day when I was a kid. Like, he's someone that I look up to as a kind of like a podcaster host. Like, he's amazing at what he does. Like New Year's Rockin' Eve, like Live with Kelly and Ryan. Like, there's many things. American Idol, and like I seen him. Like, I used to watch American Idol so much. I used to kind of memorize what the performance were and stuff and what he said. I used to kind of lip sync what he was saying, because I was kind of thinking myself, like I want to be like he was doing. He's like made such an impact on not only basically us, but basically everyone that basically watched him on TV or grew up with them. Like he's just made that much of an impact on everyone, basically.
Oh yeah, he played such a huge role, I feel like, in so many different people's lives. Just a really great, happy-go-lucky kind of guy, you know? Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. So what is some advice to younger generations that like to be a host one day, or just kind of want to be in the industry?
That's a really great question. For anybody who's looking to break into the industry, hosting, I'd have to say the same thing. And it's so cliche, but you can't let what other people think affect you. And by that, I mean, like, I wish to God that I had the goal to be able to still be in school. Like back when I was in high school, even when I was in college, I never posted anything, because I would post a picture that I knew would get a like on Instagram or something like that. If it was like a cute picture of me holding an ice cream cone with like an emoji, and I could tag my friend in the photo. I never, beyond that though, I was so creative, but I never had really like the drive to post. And it was because I cared so much about what other people really thought. And I didn't want to be walking through the hallways and people be thinking something of me. I was so caught up in really what other people would think of me. And and it's so liberating as you get older. And I feel like that's literally something that you experience with age. You care less and less. You're more removed from those people. But if I had to provide any advice straight out the gate, I would say don't let what other people think of you or what you do or what your abilities are or what you have to offer. Don't let that hinder you. And that's why I'm so proud of you for being so young and you're still in school and you're with all those kids. and like you're still chasing your dream, you're on episode 40, don't stop. Because at the end of the day, if somebody is poking fun at you, or if they're watching and they're passing any type of judgment, chances are, like, turn around and either pray or have pity, because they wish that they were in the seat to be able to do exactly what you're doing and to put themselves out there and share that with the world, truly, you know? So that's my golden piece of advice right there, is don't care what other people think, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't.
Yeah, that's for sure. I love that. Like, that's what I used to take a toll on before I even started this whole thing. So what I always took a toll on what people thought of me. And I kind of still to this day think about what people thought of me. Like, I kind of hurts like a little bit what people thought of me, and like I just didn't take a toll on me as much as it used to. I kind of worked on things and just don't care. I have things to worry than people hating on me, bullying on me. Like, I don't care. I have better things to do than basically worrying about bullies saying bad things about me. And so, like, even if I battled depression and anxiety my whole life, like, yes, it hurt. Like, even though I was battling the most toughest battle of my life with being bullied, dropping things on me, I'm like, well, like, I'm going through the battle on my own. Like, they might be jealous. They might be just trying to slam rude comments or like their experiences or home life, like anything they're going through. They're just kind of slamming on other people just to make them upset and just let all their anger out. And that's something I kind of learned on and kind of took a toll on for a couple of years now. And so that's kind of something I kind of learned. And so, like, that's something that I kind of encourage people to do, is don't take them seriously. Like, you're a good person, and don't take them seriously, because they're going through rough patches of their own. And if you fight back, it can make things worse.
For sure. Well, I'm proud of you for having such a mature mindset and having such a good head on your shoulders. And even, I love to hear you say that you've already done like so much self-work and like you're continuing. That's awesome. Because another idea that I feel like kind of isn't talked about is you almost wait until you're away from those people to begin to work on yourself and to begin to be okay with that kind of thing. And at the end of the day, like, we shouldn't hold ourselves back and be like, okay, in 4 years, I'll definitely have the guts to be able to post whatever I want on social media. But for now, I'm just going to stay off TikTok and I'm just going to scroll and be a supporter from the sidelines. Like, no, why? Who said, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm proud of you. And I think that that's so admirable. And I'm glad that there is somebody your age advocating for the same type of thing, because I think that that's huge and that's extremely necessary, especially with everything being so social media driven. You know, it's huge.
Yeah, for sure. So as we kind of talked about a little bit before, like, you have like your own podcast, Hey Hen. What was it kind of like for you to do that and kind of combine interviewing and hosting together and doing your own podcast?
So one thing that I really love about the podcast is I love being able to keep it neutral and positive and to just give people the space to be able to talk about themselves and whatever they do. You know, I interview a lot of different entertainment industry people just because that's the field that I'm in and those are the people that I know. Yeah. But I'm very open to being able to interview like CEOs. I would love to interview people of different walks of life aside from the entertainment industry. But the podcast itself has been really wonderful. It's been very fulfilling, and it's been really great to further my understanding of people and to have conversations with people. Even I've interviewed some of my best friends for half a decade. I've interviewed my best friends and I've learned so much about them through the course of the interview, you know? So I love the ability to be able to continue to learn about people. And I would have to say overall with the show, I've just been very blessed to be able to continue it and to continue different versions of it. There's actually, at the end of this month, the first official episode of like the next phase of Hey Han will be dropping, and that's going to shift to Amazon Prime, Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, and so on. So I'm very proud and excited to be able to announce that. I haven't formally announced that anywhere on social media yet. So yeah, and I'm very excited because we had the opportunity to film in a studio, to film with people physically next to me. We also have a big mixture of Zoom interviews as well. And it's kind of like a relaunch of Hey Han, but a whole brand new season of people. And yeah, it's been a great experience overall. I feel very blessed to be able to be in the position that I'm in and to be able to have the support that I do. But it's been wonderful, to say the least, for sure. Very
wonderful. That's awesome. Congratulations, by the way. That's amazing. That's a huge accomplishment. And like, that's something that I love about doing your podcast hosting, is like to interview athletes, people in industry like you, to kind of learn about like the struggles, so your experiences, and learn kind of more about what you do in your experience, your life, and your journey to where you are. And so, and also like my favorite part about it is to kind of make bonds and create good friends out of it, make connections out of it. That's my favorite part about it. It's like I can meet new people. Because if it were me when I was young, I would be shy next to my dad and just sing. I'd be like, hello. I'll be shy. I wouldn't say a word. And so if like I just like, that's why really my favorite part is basically talking to people and creating bonds and friendships that can last a lifetime, rest of your life. And that's seriously what I really love about it.
Definitely. I agree completely. It's so wonderful to be able to meet new people and to establish new friendships, you know, with people that you never would have dreamed that you'd run into or make a connection with, unless you had an opportunity like we do with having a show, you know, and then you have a new buddy for life. I've had such great connections with every single person that has had the ability to attend being a guest on my show. I think I talked to every single person from every single season that I've done so far. It's wonderful. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So the final question for the interview is, if you are also an acting coach, what kind of made you kind of want to start to pursue that? And plus you're an actor yourself. So like what kind of made you kind of want to push these two things together?
So what's really interesting is growing up, I always had acting training. And I mentioned earlier, I went to college to receive my degree in acting. So training, that's just who I am through and through. But I had the opportunity to start teaching for one of the companies that I've worked for on the side, to be able to, you know, just, that's my side job. I work for an acting school. And so I was able to kind of step away from my tasks a little bit and kind of enter into the teaching realm, something that I've always been super passionate about, but I never really had the opportunity to actually give it a go and try it. Yeah. And then I discovered how much I really loved working with people and bringing out the best in them. And I'm very proud to say that I do hold myself to be a very good acting coach. I feel that I'm very kind and I'm very receptive and I'm very open. And if my actor's going through something, you know, I don't tell them to leave it at the door. I tell them to honor it and let's see how we can intertwine it into the work that we're working on, you know. And yeah, I've always just been super passionate about coaching and teaching, and it's kind of been in my blood since I've been training for forever, literally since I was 3. And so I just feel like that's it kind of just flourished, and it's definitely here to stay. I love coaching. I love teaching. I really love private coaching. That's like my favorite thing to do, because I love one-on-one progress and seeing and talking to the person and being like, okay, let's tackle this monologue. And then how'd that make you feel? What changed? What didn't change? You know, why didn't something feel good for you? What didn't feel organic? Let's break it down. Let's figure it out. You know, I love to, it's fun. It's really fun for me. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like a big part of my life is teaching. Like I had basically like family people have like coached me through the podcast and gave me inspiration, kind of coached me on what to do with the podcast and give me feedback of what I should do and help myself grow and help me grow out of my comfort zone, gain confidence. Like there's many things I did, like people and like online courses, Googling, like that's really what the internet is for. It's for look up stuff you need to work on. Or if you don't want to coach, if you don't want to spend money, that's what the internet is really for. And so like that's like the biggest part for me is helping people like kind of get out of your comfort zone, go for it. And don't let people stop you, especially for a woman and girls like us. It's hard, like they get discriminated and like people don't really care for women as an industry. They don't really care. They only care for men. And so like that's really the big thing for women, is to step up and just grow out of your comfort zone and just go for it. Because you should, like you're a woman, like all women are fearless in any way in this. Exactly. And like you should just go for it no matter what you're going through. You should just go for it no matter what anyone's saying, just go for it.
Absolutely. You are spot on. I couldn't agree more, especially for being a woman. You know, you gotta get out there and prove some things to yourself and prove some things to people, right?
Yeah, for sure. So I just want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It was so great talking to you. I'm so happy to have you on. You're amazing. And we'll speak soon. Thanks so much again.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Thank you, Kylie.
Of course. Thank you so much.